जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनावल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनावल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदना जय व्रज जनरंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय व्रज जनरंजना जय यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जनावल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनावल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा गोविंद, राधा गोविंद राधे। जय गौरानिताय, 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 जय गौरानिताय। जय प्रभुपादा, 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 श्रीला प्रभुपादा। निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, गौर हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री शिवज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणा अरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की। इस कॉन्फाउंडर आचार्य बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य सेवियर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड श्रील प्रभुपाद की। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की। ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की। कलियुग पावन हरि नाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna, we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 19, entitled The Killing of the Demon Hiranyaksha, and verse number 22. प्रादुष्कृतानां मायानाम् आसुरीणां विनाशयत् सुदर्शनास्त्रं भगवान् प्रायुङ्क्ता दयितं त्रिपात्। प्रादुष्कृतानां मायानाम् आसुरीणां विनाशयत् सुदर्शनास्त्रं भगवान् प्रायुङ्क्ता दयितं त्रिपात्। Pradushkritana mayanam Asurinam vinashayat Sudarshanastram Bhagavan Prayungta Daitam Tripat. Pradushkritana mayanam Asurinam vinashayat Sudarshanastram Bhagavan Prayungta Daitam Tripat. Pradushkritana mayanam Asurinam Sudarshanastram Bhagavan Prayungta Daitam Tripat. Pradushkritana mayanam Asurinam vinashayat Sudarshanastram Bhagavan Prayungta Daitam Tripat. Mataji? Word to word. Pradushkritanam, displayed. Mayanam, the magical forces. Asurinam, displayed by the demon. Vinashayat, desiring to destroy. Sudarshana Astram, the Sudarshana weapon. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prayungte, through. Daitam, beloved. Tripat, the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Translation: the Lord, the personal enjoyer of all sacrifices, now discharged his beloved Sudarshana, which was capable of dispersing the magical forces displayed by the demon. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Even famous yogis and demons can sometimes enact very magical feats by their mystic power. But in the presence of the Sudarshana Chakra, when it is let loose by the Lord, all such magical jugglery is dispersed. The instance of the quarrel between Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambrish is a practical example in this matter. Durvasa Muni wanted to display many magical wonders, but when Sudarshan Chakra appeared, Durvasa himself was afraid and fled to various planets for his personal protection. The Lord is described here as Tripat, which means that he is the enjoyer of the three kinds of sacrifices. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord confirms that he is the beneficiary and enjoyer of all sacrifices, penances and austerities. The Lord is the enjoyer of three kinds of yajna. As further described in the Bhagavad Gita, there are sacrifices of goods, sacrifices of meditation, and sacrifices of philosophical speculation. Those on the path of jnana, yoga and karma all have to come in the end to the Supreme Lord, because Vasudeva Sarvamiti. The Supreme Lord is the ultimate enjoyer of everything. That is the perfection of all sacrifice. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada tells a story of how once all the senses went on a strike. Why? Because they were thinking, the hands were thinking that when I pick up food, all I have to do is take the food and give it to the stomach. And the mouth was thinking, I am using all the teeth and everything just to chew the food and send it to the stomach. Tongue was thinking, I am creating saliva and making it palatable just so that it goes to the stomach. Legs were thinking, I'm going to the place of food. I'm going to Balram Hall just so that I can take some food and put it to the stomach. So all the senses had a meeting and they went on a strike. Why just stomach? Why not me? They were thinking. So as a result of the strike, they all took a vow that they will not do anything for the stomach anymore. We want our rights. They were arguing like this. So days went by, weeks went by, months went by. No one was ready to put any food in the stomach. So they were all happy seeing that stomach is not at least the enjoyer. But they also found one more thing happening, that their own senses were they were becoming weak. The hands now, even if it wanted to hold something, it could not. There was no strength. The legs could not walk to any place. The brain could not function properly. Similarly, the eyes could not see properly. The tongue could not taste properly. There is no strength in the body at all. Then they understood that actually the stomach is the enjoyer. And it is in that way that we can actually truly enjoy. When we accept the stomach to be the real enjoyer. That goes to show that similarly, when we accept Krishna to be the enjoyer, we can truly enjoy. When we try to compete with Krishna to occupy what belongs to him, then there is actually suffering and misery. So, you see, in this verse, it is said, the Lord, the personal enjoyer of all sacrifices, now discharges his beloved Sudarshan weapon. So I was just thinking, in these series of verses which are going on now, our Hiranyaksh, he's actually trying to, it's mentioned in verse 17, he employed many conjuring tricks against the personality of Godhead. And he brought out many things, fears, winds, which are also spread darkness, occasioned by dust and hailstorms. Stones came in volleys from every corner as if thrown by machine guns. Luminaries in outer space disappeared due to skies being overcast with masses of clouds, which was accompanied by lightning and thunder, and the sky rained pus, hair, blood, stool, urine and bones. And not just that, there were many weapons of various kinds which were discharged by the mountains towards the Lord, and naked demonesses armed with tridents appeared with their hair hanging loose. I'm not sure where. Something similar, or is it maybe in 13th chapter? Something happened and it is mentioned the Lord closed his eyes when that happened. Where? 10th canto? I'm not sure where it comes, but fighting some demon and like this. Yes. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So it is mentioned that time Lord Krishna closed his eyes, Yeah, then cruel and savage slogans were uttered by the hosts of ruffian yakshas and rakshasas, just to disgrace the Supreme Lord. They were actually abusing the Lord through words. So now, when we come to this verse, it is mentioned the Lord, the personal enjoyer of all sacrifices, now discharged his beloved Sudarshan. So why is it mentioned that he is the enjoyer here? What actually nothing in when Shukadeva Goswami is choosing his words, he's choosing it so carefully and wisely. So here he's making a note. Don't forget, the Supreme Lord is still enjoying in this scenario. He never suffers like us. He is not subjected to any sort of misery. So how is he enjoying? So if we actually recall, who is Hiranyaksh? Who is Hiranyaksh? Yeah, Jai. So now Jai had come to this world, Jai and Vijay, both of them have come to this world to take up the form of demons to give enjoyment to the Supreme Lord. So this is all his pastime which is happening. Just to give some enjoyment to the Supreme Lord. Just like in India, in long back, when the kings were actually kings, they are actually Kshatriyas. That time they used to hire these, the word used is Pailwan. Pailwan means they are like muscular fellows, and they do a lot of gym. And they are sometimes employed by the king just for a fun wrestling match. And a fun wrestling match is held, and all the ministers of the king, the queens, they all assemble together to watch the sport, to see king wrestle with them. And when they are wrestling, it's not that Pailwan thinks that he's the king, so let me not fight. He goes in full force. They're true blows. It's not like what happens in WWE. It's all fake. He hits in the air and someone else falls down, and not like that. They're actually, giving out blows to one another. Same thing here also. Hiranyaksha is giving, he is subjecting Lord Varaha to so many of his blows, and it is actual fight. But this fight is a source of pleasure for anyone who is watching it, especially the devotees. The queens are not worrying that king is getting hit. Some queens are on the side of the Pailwans. They want the king to be defeated also. So in this way, people are actually just coming together to enjoy some fun. Therefore, it's the word is used as Tripath, that he is actually the enjoyer of all sacrifices. So, one thing we can learn from here, there is the Supreme Lord who has now discharged his weapon, Sudarshana, and to dispel all the magical tricks, isn't it? So, here Lord Varaha is being challenged by Hiranyaksh. Why? Because the Supreme Lord is the true enjoyer. If we look at it from another angle, we see our Hiranyaksh, he is trying to become the enjoyer. Therefore, there is competition, isn't it? So, because he is trying to occupy Krishna's position, there is competition. So, the demon is actually competing to become the enjoyer. Therefore, his actions are only source of displeasure. So competition exists when we actually look for becoming the enjoyer. See, you don't have to compete with anyone for something that belongs to you, isn't it? There's only competition for something that doesn't belong to us. For example, in any sports or even academics, there's one gold medal, probably 2 or 3 more. That's it. So whom does it belong to? As of now, no one. Therefore, there's competition. So for example, sometimes the person who is allotted for Mangalarti, he hasn't come on time yet. So then the devotees are thinking, Prabhu, I will sing today Mangalarti. Other devotees thinking, Prabhu, I'll sing. There's competition. Who will sing? But then the devotee comes, whose name is there. Then he just picks up karta and starts singing. Isn't it? Because it belongs to him. There's no fight for that. When it doesn't belong to us, there is fight going on. So, similarly, you see there is cutthroat competition in this world because people are actually trying to occupy positions and possessions which actually don't belong to them. Similarly, the karmis are fighting they are struggling so hard to become man with money, man with women, man with fame and name. Why? Why are they struggling? Because it doesn't belong to them. Isn't it? Therefore, they have to compete with others. But for something which belongs to us, we don't have to compete. To become a servant, how many people are competing? No, it's our natural position. You serve, everyone is happy. You become try to become master, no one is happy. Isn't it? For master position, there's one position available. That is Ekali Ishwara Krishna Arasabhabritya. Now if we want to occupy that position, it starts with, how a tournament goes. In a tournament, finally you have one winner of the tournament, one World Cup. But it starts with multiple teams, isn't it? So small battles. And gradually you win those battles, you come to next level, then next level. Finally you have to face off. The final face off is always with the Supreme Lord. So Hiranyaksha had actually won all the battles. Similarly, we also sometimes initially, fight, neophyte it is said. The neophyte devotees, when you put them together in a room, they all start bickering and quarreling and blaming and everything. Isn't it? So they start fighting with one another. But little mature devotee, whose heart is little more purified, he thinks, okay, I don't have to deal with these small level fights. So it doesn't matter. But when an opportunity to occupy a position comes, then he fights. Isn't it? Similarly, but a more mature devotee may think, okay, what is all this position and everything? But he may fight for some, to have his opinion sounded out. So that people can actually will listen to his opinion and they will put it into practice. So that's his fight. But more senior, one person, I won't say senior devotee, I would say a person whose heart is more purified. So a person ultimately, he conquers all lust, anger, greed, all the vices from the heart, and finally he fights with, as Prabhupada calls it, the last snare of Maya. He thinks I am only God. Because he has actually fought with all the small level fights. He has come to the final level. The same tendency of occupying the position of becoming the enjoyer. Finally, when you come to the end, you have to face the Supreme Lord. So when you come in face to face with the Supreme Lord, you have two options. Whether you can serve the Supreme Lord or you can become the Supreme Lord. You cannot become, but you can think that I have become the Supreme Lord. Isn't it? So that final face-off is there. And that same face-off, that same tendency to become the Supreme Lord is coming down at our level, where we are actually fighting with one another for position. Isn't it? So even if we overcome these battles, Prabhupada says the last snare of Maya is still there. We can still fight with the Supreme Lord for his position, and his position includes name, fame, glory. Name, fame, glory, same old story, they said. So therefore, in this world, in this way, people are actually competing with one another just to become Krishna. Why are we, and if, therefore, I was hearing one lecture from a spiritual master, he said, if you actually are envious of someone else's success, that actually goes to show we are actually envious of Krishna. But because, the success of my peer is easy to relate to than success of Krishna, for me right now, so I am actually envious of him. But actually it shows or gives an indication of envy towards Krishna. And our envy towards peers or people around us is actually an indication of envy towards Krishna. Because Krishna is all, he is all famous, he has all the wealth, he is the enjoyer, capital E, enjoyer. Whereas we are dependent enjoyers. So, therefore, that is one point which struck out to me, because competition doesn't exist in a society where, people are happy with the positions they are in. So, therefore, sometimes even the karmis, they are struggling so hard to get things which they don't have. They want to become millionaires, billionaires. They want to have name, fame in society, but they don't have it. So they have to compete with others for it. But Krishna, when he came to this world, he didn't have to compete with anyone. Like Paundraka, he wanted to become Krishna, but when he came to when he came to Dwaraka, immediately he was killed. He had come to tell everyone, maybe probably you do not know, I am actual Krishna. Why does he have to prove himself? Because he is occupying a false position. So when we all occupy our true positions, Krishna is the enjoyer and we as his servants. We as not just his servants, we as his servants and the servants of his servants. Then it becomes very natural for us. Then it becomes peaceful for us. Then there is actually focus in spiritual life. So that is one point. So that the competition with the Supreme Lord is to take his position of becoming the enjoyer. And there's one more point is, when we try to occupy the Supreme Lord's position of being the enjoyer, the actions that result as a consequence are always impure. The actions lose their purity because the intention is of enjoyment. You able to understand? So that means, for example, Varaha wanted, not Varaha, our Hiranyaksh, he wanted to conquer over Lord Varaha to become the enjoyer. So what were his actions? He was doing all this, putting up magical feats to, trick Lord Varaha. So actions are dependent on the intentions. They are not independent. So what type of intention do we have? For example, I can go and cook for the Supreme Lord in the deity kitchen. Now everyone will congratulate me after cooking. But if I am actually thinking of my enjoyment, not Krishna's enjoyment, then it's actually the whole offering is spoiled. For example, when Krishna was, when the dancing with the gopis was going on, all the gopis thought, oh, probably I am the only one Krishna is dancing with. So as soon as they thought like that, the offering was spoiled. From one angle of understanding, the offering is spoiled. So if we have the consciousness is on the platform of thinking how I can enjoy, the offering is spoiled. It's like, making nice dal but too much salt in it. It's not palatable. You can only spit it out. So similarly, our offering is spoiled when we try to become the enjoyer, when the enjoying mentality exists in the offering. So therefore Krishna says, if we have to, what is most pleasing to me is pure devotion, as Rupa Goswami Pad says, Anya Abhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadya Anavritam. So the Anya Abhilashita Shunyam means anything apart from the desire to serve the Supreme Lord should become zero. But the way you serve the Supreme Lord, that is infinite ways you can serve. And when we do that, it's like feeding the stomach. We ourselves get nourished and we please the Supreme Lord. So that is one point. So if you see, come to the purport, you will see Prabhupada writes in the first statement, even famous yogis and demons can sometimes enact very magical feats by the mystic power. Why are they enacting all these magical feats? Because they are trying to become the enjoyer ultimately. We'll come to that. Before enjoyership, of course, comes proprietorship, controllership, and then enjoyership. You cannot enjoy something that doesn't belong with something that doesn't belong to you. You cannot enjoy something that you cannot control. So first comes proprietorship. You have to own it. Then you have to control it. Only then you can enjoy it. So when Prabhupada says that famous yogis and demons can sometimes enact very magical feats by the mystical power, but in the presence of Sudarshan Chakra, when it is let loose by the Lord, all such magical jugglery is dispersed. That means when when Parikshit Maharaj became the king and he saw that there is a cow and a bull, Dharma bull and mother cow, mother earth. So both of them are being slaughtered by Kali, who has disguised himself in the dress of a king. So this fellow is actually taking taking benefit of, because he saw Parikshit, no one is there to see me. So he is actually trying to harm Dharma. So Parikshit saw this and he took him to task. He said, better you get out or else I'll kill you. Isn't it? Similarly, when Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur came, you see, in those days, there were many yogis who were claiming to be self-made gods. Many of them. And there were many sahajiyas. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur has this whole composition of an article or a book where he states out 13 apasampradayas who all look like devotees but they are actually not devotees. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes this. So, but when Bhaktivinoda Thakur came, they had to go away. Isn't it? Similarly, when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his time came, that time the impersonalists and Mayavadis, Impersonal Mayavadis have been there for a long time, but his main focus was to kick them out. So when he came, they had to leave, the impersonalists and Mayavadis, when Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur came. Similarly, when Srila Prabhupada came, that was the time the modern scientists, they were thinking like we can bluff anything and cheat the whole world. But when Srila Prabhupada came and exposed them through his different various type of logic and presenting the Shastric information so scientifically, then the modern scientists had to flee. Actually, if you read Gajendra section, it is said, when Gajendra came, a huge elephant, heavenly elephant, all the other animals had to flee. Either they had to salute or flee. Similarly, when Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas come, all the false theories, false scientific understandings like Big Bang theory, quantum theory as the cause of creation, all these bogus things had to flee. Isn't it? Then people actually started thinking. Otherwise, we all have studied Darwin's theory in school. How many of us really questioned? We all accepted it first. Isn't it? But when Prabhupada said it is not true, then we start questioning. So in this way we can see when there is light, there is no darkness. Only in absence of light there can be darkness. But of course, there is saying in physics, you never study cold. You study only heat. And you study cold as a principle of lack of heat. That is cold. Isn't it? Similarly, you never study darkness in physics. You study what? Light. And lack of light is darkness. Similarly, but when we come to Krishna consciousness, we study Krishna as the main principle, but Prabhupada also said you have to study and analyze Maya very much. Why? Because anything that comes from Krishna is also true. It's not like other principles. So Krishna and lack of Krishna is Maya, but you have to study both. You have to study Krishna as well as Maya. And that's what Vyasadeva did. Before he wrote Srimad Bhāgavatam, he could see Krishna and Maya side by side. So it's very important to study both of them. Why? Now when we come to this enjoyership mentality, now we'll come to see the play of Maya. Enjoyership mentality means first you need to have proprietorship. Can you enjoy a rasgulla from the plate of your friend? Can you take his rasgulla and eat? No, immediately he'll hit you, isn't it? So you cannot enjoy something that doesn't belong to you. Or can you take someone else's laptop and use? No. So first you have to own it. So all the struggle in this world is just because, therefore karmis means what? They practice karma kanda. Karma kanda means they use the Vedic processes to gain possession. So karmis means they are trying to become proprietors. So karmis, you can directly link them to proprietorship mentality. They're karmis. If you want to own something, then you work hard there. Such people are called karmis. Proprietorship. Sometimes you have big ideas for the temple, but you have no position. You are not temple commander, you are not temple president, you are not vice president, nothing. Then what happens? Okay, I want my ideas to go forth. So the person can become like a karmi. He can work like a karmi. Okay, let me work towards that position. So he's trying to get proprietorship. So karmis are directly proportional to proprietorship mentality. So and next you come to controllership mentality. Who is proportional to controllership mentality? Karmis, yogis and jnanis. Which one of them? Karmis is already done. It's fixed. Fix them across proprietorship. Yeah, yogis. Then when you become the manager, then you want to control the subordinates. You want to control the life of the people under you. You want to micromanage them. All this is controllership mentality. Why? And this is proportional to yogis. Because yogis want to control. They are using the scriptures. The genuine yogis also who actually meditate on Paramatma in the heart. I am talking about the yogis who get deviated. These yogis, they have tendency to gain control over siddhis. They want to control not just gross matter, but they also want to control subtle matter. That is siddhis. Gross matter is not that difficult. But subtle matter, you have control of subtle energies. So that gives them a kick. So yogis, therefore, you can connect them to controllership mentality. And ultimately, you think karmis want to remain as karmis? No, they want to come to the platform of yogis. Because they don't want to just own everything. They want to come to the platform of controlling everything. And then when yogis, do you think they just want to remain on the platform of being a yogi? On controlling things? No. They want to come to the platform of jnanis who enjoy. Jnanis are proportional to enjoying mentality. Ultimately, they want to come because they want to become enjoyers. And in that race for enjoyment, finally they see Krishna. That's where the problem comes. Because they see, oh, Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer, not me. And why do we say jnanis as, why do we connect jnanis with enjoyership mentality? Because jnanis, they want to give up everything. They say, no, this material world is full of misery. Let me just go and rest in Brahman. That's enjoying mentality. They want to take some rest. They don't want to serve. So jnanis actually correspond to enjoyership mentality. In this way, actually, Maya starts from the first one. That is proprietorship. That's where when the people start working hard for something that is not Krishna. And how much time does Maya need? Yeah, a moment. She only needs a moment of your time. We say give at least 2 hours to chant Hare Krishna. Krishna is demanding a lot. Krishna says, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. 24 hours. But Maya only says, just give me 1 moment. So very attractive offer. So you give 1 moment and she goes in like a needle and comes out like a plow. That's where we borrowed the principle from for preaching. We borrowed it from Maya. She goes in, like you have heard of this story, Camel and the Sheikh. Once in a cold desert, it was very cold winds were blowing and the Sheikh had a nice tent over him. And the poor camel was sleeping outside. So then, middle of the night, the camel stuck its head inside the tent and asked, Sheikh, can I please keep my head inside? It's too cold outside. Sheikh said, he was in deep slumber, so he said, okay, do what you want. Don't disturb me. Don't disturb me. And he went back to sleep. And then after some time, the rest of the body of the camel was shivering. So then it put its right leg inside and said, Sheikh, can I bring my right foot in? Right front foot. And then Sheikh said, okay, do whatever you want. Don't disturb me. And he went back to sleep. Then my brother left front foot ahead, inside. And said, Sheikh, can I bring my left front foot inside? He said, okay, do what you want. Don't disturb me. And went back to sleep. Like this, after some time, Sheikh found himself shivering. It was so cold. He opened his eyes and saw he could only see the sky and the stars. Then he got up to see what had happened. There was a camel and above which there was a tent, and camel was running away with the tent. And that's how the Maya does, and that's how Maya works in our lives. She only needs to put her one head inside, and gradually the shelter will be gone, shelter of Krishna consciousness. And then we'll be wondering what happened. When, of course, the cold winds hit us, the cold material winds, then we'll understand, we'll be woken up. So therefore, Maya only needs 1 moment. But of course, Maya is not close to us. We are in temple, Maya is outside. So it's all good, isn't it? No. Is Maya present in temples also? Really? I thought Radha Krishna and devotees were present in temples. Maya is present in temples. Wow. And Maya is also present in the altar. Like for a pujari, when he's doing, Maya is present there also. See? Maya is present in Prasadam hall. Maya is present in ashram. Yeah. So what are the seating places of Maya? Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. He says seating places of lust. He says Maya is present in senses, mind and intelligence. There are seating places of lust. So wherever we take our contaminated mind, Maya exists. Sometimes one boy may think, oh, girl is Maya, girl may think boy is Maya. Both are not Maya. But the mind is in Maya. So therefore the perception, how they perceive the reality, that is, for a person who is, for a conditioned soul, it's easy to perceive certain things as Maya. So therefore one has to, a strict yogi, he practices pratyahara, that means withdrawal of senses from sense objects. Because he knows, if I go in this particular situation, it's easy for me to get affected by Maya. Not that the situation is Maya. Is Instagram Maya? Instagram, is it Maya? No, Instagram is not Maya. But because we are in Maya, we don't know how to use Instagram and we get deviated. Isn't it? For example, yesterday I had to send one lecture link from Facebook. There's a particular page from which I had to send it to one student. So I opened Facebook. So then there was so much news feed. Then I saw one first news feed. It was very Krishna conscious. Something about some book distribution, some video. Okay, next news feed. That was also Krishna conscious. Next news feed. That was partially Krishna conscious. And fourth news feed, that was not Krishna conscious. You see? So then I spent over 10 minutes going to the news feed. Then I was asking to myself, why did I even come here in the first place? Then I understood it was because I had to send him a lecture link. So I just wasted 10-15 minutes like that. And some people even waste hours like that. And they don't even get the job done. Isn't it? So therefore Maya only needs one moment to affect us. Why? And Maya is in the mind. So she can, and therefore it is said, the biggest threat to a country are the spies, who behave as civilians, but they're actually spies of another country. So similarly, Maya is present in our own system. So therefore she is like the worst. She knows all our weaknesses and strengths. And we don't have so many strengths. We have more of weaknesses. She knows our weaknesses. Like when I'm chanting, sometimes I think, last round did not go very well. So this round I will chant with all concentration, all focus. So then when I'm thinking, okay, this time I will do with focus. Yeah, why is focus important? Okay, this. Then, so like that they'll be connecting thoughts. Maya knows, if I present myself completely with all my glamour, this fellow will understand this is Maya. So she first presents herself as devotee. With devotional service. Then she will say, what about the preaching? What about that student? He's not coming for the programs anymore. Isn't it? So that is very attractive. For example, say for me, that may be attractive. Why that student is not coming? All the while, the japa beats are still going on. I'm thinking in the mind, why the student is not coming for the program? Then I'm thinking, okay, today I have to give Bhāgavatam class. Okay, that point, what examples can I speak for that program? And then I understand, I'm actually chanting. Isn't it? So therefore Maya she is very expert in deluding the practitioners of Krishna consciousness. But we have some hope. What is that hope? You see in the purport Prabhupada writes, when yogis and demons, for us Maya, modern scientists and bluffers, can sometimes enact very magical feats by the mystic power. That means sometimes they put up, scientists and researchers, they put up a paper, they publish a paper saying how life comes from matter. That's the magical feat. We are wondering and scratching our heads, but Prabhupada said life comes from life. How is it possible? Probably scientists are correct, because they are published in paper. Only we don't know in future that paper will be defeated. So therefore, that's how the modern scientists and the atheistic people, like Dawkins, he has written so many books. Now in those books, if you read, you should not read, but if you read, he has given many examples which he tries to say, because these things exist in nature, it actually proves that God doesn't exist. One thing he says is, for example, a deer is running away from a tiger, and tiger is chasing the deer. If the deer escapes, then tiger has no food. If tiger catches the deer, then deer is killed. So it's because the situation exists in this world, therefore God doesn't exist. Because both are not satisfied. That's his logic. So therefore, this appears to be a magical feat by the modern atheistic scientists. But in the presence of Sudarshan Chakra, in the presence of Acharyas, in the presence of Acharyas' teachings, in the presence of internal potency of the Supreme Lord, in the presence of Yoga Maya, then in their presence, those magical feats have no value. All such magical juggleries dispersed. Then Prabhupada quotes the instance of quarrel between Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj, how Ambarish Maharaj, he was completely dependent on the Supreme Lord. And that's what we can learn in our life, the power of prayers. The power of prayers is, it actually, even if our senses are taking us close to Maya, it's getting attracted to the sense objects. The prayers have such strength to make the heart soft to choose Krishna. Because when you pray to Krishna that, my dear Krishna, please help me. I'm becoming like a lamb in front of the lion of Maya. Please help me. Just by offering the prayer, you get a lot of strength. How many of you have had this experience before? Isn't it? That is the real power of prayers. What did you do? You just offered your emotion to Krishna. That self is sufficient. Krishna reciprocates by giving strength in the heart. But most of the time, jnani type of people who think, I am self-sufficient. Even while being amongst devotees, they think I am capable. I know philosophy. I know everything. They are the first ones. They are the prime, prime targets for Maya. Those people who are confident on their capabilities, they think I can do it. Of course, I mentioned this multiple times in recent classes with Gita Life. In many of the yatras, sometimes it so happens that some devotees, when they go to take a dip in the ocean, they are swimming and they get drowned and die also sometimes. It so happens. Because like in Jagannath Puri, the force of waves is so strong, you cannot play around. But the statistics show, who are the people who drown? The expert swimmers. Because people who do not know swimming, they are stuck on the shore, they are afraid to put their feet in water. But expert swimmers think, I can handle it. Then if you tell them, please take shelter of Krishna, they say, yeah, okay, I know, I have to take shelter of Krishna. But that heart has become hard. It's not easy to offer. So then when they go deep inside, they're consumed by the ocean. Isn't it? So this actually shows, if they, like once Prabhupada said, even if you put me in a room filled with naked women, I won't get affected. He said like this. And all the disciples were awestruck. Out of course, great respect for Prabhupada's, the strength, spiritual strength. Later on, one devotee, he saw Prabhupada while being in temple, he was in front of deities, he was saying, oh Srimati Radharani, please protect me from Maya. He offered a prayer like this. And then the disciple went to Prabhupada and asked, Prabhupada, you just said, that you can be put in a room of Maya, but you won't get affected. But why are you praying to Krishna, Radha Krishna then? He said, because I'm praying, that's why I won't get affected. Not that because by my own capability I won't get affected. That's not possible. So therefore one has to take shelter of the pure devotees who are manifestations of the internal potency of the Lord. And that's what is represented by Sudarshan Chakra here. Because the Sudarshan Chakra has the power to dispel all illusion. So similarly, if we take shelter of great acharyas, their books, their instructions, then we won't get affected by Maya. We can be in a situation which is highly prone to for our mind to get into Maya, but we won't get affected if we are following the instructions of great acharyas. Or now the instructions, chanting Hare Krishna, all these, the process given by them. And then Prabhupada goes on to say that Durvasa himself was afraid and fled to various parts of various planets for his personal protection. The Lord is described as Tripath, which means that he is the enjoyer of three kinds of sacrifices. In the Gita, Lord confirms that he is the beneficiary and enjoyer of all sacrifices, penances and austerities. Yeah, so Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices, all penances and austerities. So the karmis, yogis and jnanis understand this at the end point. But the bhaktas, we do it as a lifestyle. So if you see the yoga ladder, you find animalistic life. Above that is karma kanda, who use Vedas to get what they want. That's karma kanda. Above that is karma yoga. The karma yoga also has different division. You have sakama karma yoga, then nishkama karma yoga. Sakama karma yoga means, like you tell Prabhu, can you please chant Hare Krishna? That's not possible. You tell, okay, Prabhu, you do that. Can you go, like for many students, for example, we tell, if we tell about Hare Krishna chanting, they say, Prabhu, this is too much. Why only bhakti? We say, then they feel, should we only give our life completely to bhakti? Then we have to say, no, you become CEO of a company and give some donation. And from the position of CEO, you glorify Krishna. That is also bhakti. That is very palatable to them. But it is not pure bhakti. It is sakama karma yoga. You are doing what you like and you are including Krishna in it. Then nishkama means you do what is required, but you are not looking for the fruits. But you still, in nishkama karma yoga also, this I just have to clarify. Someone was saying, but one still follows his tendencies. Like someone is a cook. He likes to cook, but he whatever fruits, like he doesn't look for any appreciation, but he wants to cook for the Lord. That's his That's what he wants to do. He wants to cook for the Lord. You tell him, Prabhu, can you clean the temple? No, I can cook for the Lord. But he's not attached to the fruits. That's Nishkama Karma Yoga. But Bhakti Yoga is, of course, later on comes Jnana Yoga, above Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga means people have higher adhikari, higher adhikara qualification. That means they're not being pushed by passion to act. They can sit in one place and absorb in Bhagavatam with the mood of understanding who God is. That they can do. That's Jnana. That comes over great maturity, over 20-25 years of practice of Krishna consciousness. And last, one finally comes to Bhakti Yoga platform. Bhakti Yoga platform, you are acting for pleasure of Krishna, Guru and Krishna. Only then you practice Bhakti Yoga. So if Guru says, Prabhu, do like this, the disciple will do it. Of course, the best way to engage any devotee is according to the inclinations. Prabhupada, I have found one quote. Prabhupada said, if someone is an artist, let them paint for Krishna. Don't ask them to do anything else. Someone is a musician, let them play music for Krishna. That's the best way they can absorb Krishna consciousness. So, therefore, Bhagavad Gita Krishna says that in this world we have wandered, we keep wandering in so many different species, and finally we are coming to Krishna consciousness. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti. Mahatma Sudurlabha. Such a person is very, very rare. So therefore, instead of going to, if we are looking for enjoyship, proprietorship, controllership, any of these things, we get stuck up in so many ways. Of course, there's no time. Actually, I had some videos to show on how, we were just looking on the documentary on Kumbh Mela, and we just got a glimpse of so many sadhus, so many different types of sadhus doing so many, in the Hindi word is hangama. Hangama means circus. Doing so many circus to attain Krishna. And then I wanted to show one final video of our devotees chanting and dancing in Harinam. And this is how they go back to Godhead. See? There is one yogi in Kumbh Mela, he has kept his hand like this for over many, many years. And they're like nails growing. Of course, this part of hand has become dysfunctional because he has not used it. He has just kept it like this. There are some yogis who have not sat for like 15 years. They only stood. Of course, now they support themselves by tying a thread and to some tree or something. But they don't sit down. Like that. So many big, all this hangama they do, but they won't attain Krishna. Why? Because it's all based on mental speculation. But you just stand, dance, serve devotees, be humble. In Hindi, one Maharaj said, Shukdev Maharaj said, Radhe Radhe kaho, chote ban ke raho. Just chant Radhe Radhe and be a small devotee. Don't try to become big devotee. I want position, I want facilities, all that. Just Radhe Radhe kaho, chote ban ke raho. Easily one can go back to Godhead. I'll just stop here because it's already time. Any quick reflection or comments? Yes, one will take.
A question. I was wondering if you could elaborate more on, you were talking about like when we're chanting japa, and let's say you have even something that's like on a devotional mindset, like you're giving class today, so you're chanting japa and then you're thinking, oh my God, like what am I going to do about class? So I was wondering, like, sometimes we're told to chant, Srila Prabhupada translated chanting that Maha Mantra into like, Krishna, please engage me in service. So is that like because that's technically, if you're thinking something like that within your mind, it's technically taking you away from hearing. So I was wondering, like, if you could maybe elaborate on this a little more, like what it actually means that Maya, like what actually is Maya taking you away from chanting? I'm still a little confused on that.
Usually we take, like if someone has a sincere desire, like if I had a sincere desire to speak Bhagavatam just for pleasure of Krishna and for the pleasure of benefit of devotees, then I will be more absorbed in my chanting of Hare Krishna. But if I'm thinking I want to enjoy from this position of being a speaker, probably someone will clap for me, someone will appreciate me, then I'm actually not. Then that's what actually distracts me from the holy name. Also, sometimes there may be a genuine case where we are worried about some service, we are anxious. That's why sometimes thoughts also come. But Mahatma Prabhu says in his japa seminars, he makes a point that we are praying for service in japa, but only after 7:30 a.m., not before. That means when you're doing chanting, you have to chant. Service later. And later during the day, Vrinde Devi give how many of our services, we are ready to do it. Like that he says. Yeah. Want to say something? Okay. Granth Srimad Bhāgavatam ki, Shri Prabhupada ki.